everyone, welcome back to Biophilia, your all-time study mate. Today we are going to continue with the chapter of neural control and coordination to understand about the ear. So if you like this video and get some help, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our amazing channel Biophilia. So here we are after understanding about the nose, tongue and eyes. Now we are to understand about the ear. So what is the structure of the ear? So structure of ear में होते हैं three major sections. The first one from the outer side is going to be called as outer ear, which consists of the pinna and the external auditory meatus. After the outer ear, हम थोड़ा और अंदर जाएंगे. There comes the middle ear, जहाँ पे तीन सबसे delicate और सबसे छोटे bones. So these are also the smallest bones found in our body. These are ear ossicles, and the innermost section of the ear, that is inner ear, also called as labyrinth, is going to consist of the bony and the membranous labyrinth. So here we are to understand in detail about each of the section, starting from the outer ear up till the middle ear. So let's start to understand each of them in detail. So the first we see is the outer ear. Outer ear में दो चीजें थी. The first being the pinna and the second being the external auditory canal, or you can say external auditory meatus. So here we see first about pinna, which is the outer ear or the external ear that you can see. So it is a flap of elastic cartilage which can be seen or it is visible from outside. अब इसका मेन यूज क्या है? इट इज जस्ट लाइक अ डिश एंटीना. जैसे डिश एंटीना होता है, डिश एंटीना के ऊपर देयर इज सम कनेक्शन सिग्नल्स. तो डिश एंटीना का एक पर्टिकुलर शेप होता है. एंड व्हाई दैट काइंड ऑफ अ शेप? बिकॉज द रेज कैन जस्ट फॉल एंड ऑल द रेज कैन बी कैप्चर्ड. So same is the case with pinna. So pinna is also going to be collecting all those sound waves which are traveling in and around. So वो सारे collect करके maximum efficiency के लिए the pinna is going to function. Then after the pinna, the sound rays are going to travel into the external auditory canal. So ये canal है which is going to connect the pinna from the air. So it will just collect all the sound waves और वो पहुंचाएगा to the next part, that is the middle ear. But before that, the canal is not going to be very smooth. So ये canal में होंगे very fine hairs and there will be some wax secreting glands. So because of these wax secreting glands only, you can see the ear wax production. So this ear wax is going to be coming from the sebaceous glands. So sebaceous glands जो होते हैं, these are also called as oil glands. So ये एक oily secretion produce करते हैं, so that whatever the wax is produced is going to be helping to entrap the dust particles या कोई insects जैसे मक्खी घुस गई कान में, मधुमक्खी घुस गई, या any kind of insect that is trying to enter inside your ear will be trapped inside of that sticky wax, or कोई भी irritating particle, so that should not enter into your ear, inner parts of the ear, that all are going to be entrapped because of this ear hairs and the ear wax secreted. So even the external canal, once it starts from the pinna, it is going to end at the tympanic membrane. और tympanic membrane का normal common name क्या है? It is the eardrum. So you must have heard about कि if you hear a lot of loud music, yeah, you are going to prick some pencils or pointed things into your ear, you are going to tear away. You might have heard जैसे कान का पर्दा फट जाएगा. So that कान का पर्दा that you must have heard in your childhood, that don't poke sharp objects into your ears or you might become deaf. All that thing is because of the very sensitive, thin, transparent, oval shaped structure which is going to be the tympanic membrane or the eardrum. So because this eardrum is very important part, that is the reason you don't have to poke anything sharp into your ears. So let's understand more in detail about the next part or next structure of the ear, that will be the middle ear. So middle ear, as we had said, these were having the three smallest bones of our body. And what were the three smallest bones? These bones were called as ear ossicles, which were named as malleus, incus and stapes. अब मेलियस इनकस और स्टेपीज इनको ये नाम दे दिया गया as per scientists, but even they thought that why can't we name them on the basis how they look. So malleus is a bone that looks like a hammer, whereas incus is a bone looks like anvil, and stapes is a bone looking like a stirrup. So hammer, everyone knows how does a hammer look. Anvil is the object or instrument that is used by cobblers. So cobblers के पास you must have visited some days wherein you can see कि वो cobbler के पास एक सामने रखी हुई होती है एक iron की चीज जिसके ऊपर the cobbler is going to make shoes. So stitching हो या pasting हो polishing हो, he is going to use that thing. So that is nothing but a anvil. And the stirrup is like a spoon shape जहाँ से आप steer कर सकते हो. That is a stirrup. So these shapes and the names that were given, that is malleus, incus and stapes, needs to be remembered. But how can you remember them? क्योंकि इनके नाम mix नहीं होने चाहिए. So you can very well remember with a very short trick, and the trick is Miss has. So you just have to write it like this, Miss has. So how are you going to remember it? M is for malleus, H is for hammer shaped, then is anvil, and anvil is going to combine with the incus, and stapes and the stirrup is going to be together. So just with the trick of Miss has, you are going to remember the name of the bone and the shape of the bone. So more to be detailed about stapes. So stapes का कहाँ location है? It is going to be attached to the membrane that is called as oval window, or you can also call it as fenestra ovalis. So fenestra ovalis is the anatomic name, and oval window is just for the sake of the shape of it. So oval window is going to act like a door to the inner ear. The next part that is going to be the ear ossicles. उनका काम क्या है? सबसे पहले जैसे you must have understood till now that the outer ear is there. After the outer ear there is going to be inner ear, and then there is going to be outer ear, middle ear and the inner ear. So outer, inner or middle ear का जो बीच में जो part है, how are the bones going to be arranged? So the bones are going to be arranged in the same fashion, that is the malleus, incus and the stapes. So for that reason the stapes is going to be connected to the oval window. वो किसको connected है? It is connected to the oval window. But once the malleus is going to be connected to the round window, or you can say it is going to be connected to the tympanic membrane, or you can say it is connected to the eardrum. So that is what to be remembered. So all these three bones, that is malleus, incus and stapes, these are going to act like liver system so that they can increase the force of vibrations. जो भी sound vibrations collect हुए थे, they have to get intensified, and for the intensification these three bones are going to be helpful. So whatever is the middle ear cavity, that wherein these three bones are situated, it is called as tympanic cavity. Or tympanic cavity किससे filled है? Is it filled with any kind of fluid? No, there is no fluid, but it will be air. So vacuum नहीं है, fluid नहीं है, it is just normal air. And since the air is present, the inner ear, the middle ear is also connected to the pharynx with the help of eustachian tube. So जब आप बहुत ज़्यादा heights पे जाते हो, so कभी कभी because of difference in air pressure you might feel some pain in your ears. So that pain in your ears is going to be because of the fluctuation in the pressure between the middle ear and your pharynx. So जब आप मुंह बहुत जोर से open up wide करते हो, then because of this connection between middle ear and pharynx, the pressure is adjusted and your ear pain is going to be lowered down. So that is connection with the help of the eustachian tube. Coming to the next part, that is the inner ear, it is going to be the most delicate part, because जो भी hearing का part है या whatever balancing is going to occur is because of this inner ear. So in the inner ear there is going to be a fluid. जैसे middle ear में air था, the inner ear is going to have a fluid which is called as lymph, and this lymph is of two types. First is the perilymph and the second is the endolymph. So as we had already discussed that the inner ear or the labyrinth is of two types. First is the bony labyrinth, and inside the bony labyrinth there is going to be the membranous labyrinth. So bahar se it will be bony labyrinth, which is made up of series of bony parts, and inside the bony labyrinth there is going to be membranous labyrinth जो compartmentalize करेगा. That is, for example, if this is the cross section of the bony labyrinth, जो बीच में lines draw किए हैं, those lines will be the membranous, whereas the outer part will be the bony labyrinth. Then in the labyrinth, we have to discuss about first, that is cochlea. अब cochlea क्या है? It is the coiled portion of the labyrinth, which is the main hearing organ. So ear जो होता है, ear के दो functions होते हैं. First is the function of hearing, and the second is the function of balancing. So hearing का जो काम करने वाला है, that is because of the cochlea. In the future few minutes we will see about the ear that is functioning with balancing. But hearing जो भी आवाज आप सुन रहे हो, that is because of cochlea. So cochlea is going to be tapered from the broad base and it is pointed with the apex. The oval window is going to open at the broad base of the cochlea. So oval window क्या है? It is the gateway to the inner ear. So वो gateway से कहाँ open होगा? So broad base of the cochlea वहाँ पे open होगा. The upper membrane of cochlea is going to be called as Reisner's membrane. So now these membranes names are very important. Upper membrane is Reisner's membrane. Lower membrane is called as Basilar's membrane. So basilar से you can remember as base. Basilar is similar to base. So base is nothing but the lower part. So Reisner's is upper, Basilar's is lower. And these two membranes are nothing but going to divide the bony labyrinth. For example, if you consider this to be the bony labyrinth, the red color one is going to be your Reisner's membrane, and say for example the yellow one is going to be your basilar membrane, right? So these two membranes are going to convert this particular bony labyrinth into three parts. So these three chambers or the three parts are going to be called as upper scala vestibuli, the middle scala media, and the lower one will be called as lower scala tympani. So just to remember the arrangement, the name is as upper, middle and the lower, but what you have to remember, scala vestibuli is the upper, scala media is the middle one, and the scala tympani is the last one. So this way the bony labyrinth is going to be divided because of the membranous labyrinth. Now base of the scala vestibuli, the upper chamber. So scala vestibuli का the जो end होगा वो end कहाँ होगा? It will end at the oval window, and the scala tympani is going to terminate at the round window. So once you open this particular, because it is a coiled section, right? It is all coiled up. Coil का जो start point होगा, that is inner, and the end point will be outer. So that kind of जो उसका start होगा, that is vestibuli part, the upper part is going to end at the oval window, and the scala tympani is going to be at the round window. This is again a very important part कि कौन कहाँ पे end होगा. The one thing is this, and the second thing that you need to remember, that is which membrane is called as what. So upper one is Reisner's, lower one is basilar. Now scala vestibuli, that is the upper chamber, and the scala tympani, that is the lower chamber, these two are going to be connected to each other with a apex, and this apex there is going to be a small hole, and that hole is called as helicotrema. What is it called as? It is called as helicotrema. So this helicotrema is going to be a special connection between the scala vestibuli and the scala tympani. So you can here very well understand about the arrangement of this particular cochlea. So यहाँ पे है सबसे ऊपर वाला chamber, that is scala vestibuli. Then there is going to be in middle, that is scala media, and the lowermost, that is scala tympani. And the scala tympani and scala vestibuli are going to be connected because of a helicotrema, which is a small opening. The next is organ of Corti. Organ of Corti is going to be a sensory structure wherein the hair cells will be present onto the basilar membrane. So basilar membrane kaun si thi? It was the lower membrane. So these hair cells are going to be present in rows onto the internal side of the organ of Corti. और ये hair cells का क्या काम होता है? Hair cells का जो काम होगा, that is going to be as जब sound waves आएंगे, so because of the sound waves, these hair cells are going to move, but these are stereocilias, and these stereocilias, or these lower parts of the hair cells, these are going to be in very close contact with the afferent nerve fibers. And because of this sound waves, when these hair cells move, then the afferent nerve fibers are going to take nerve impulses. और जैसे ही nerve impulses कान से brain तक जाएंगे, what is going to be? The signals are going to be sent that there is some sound waves, and those are going to be interpreted. But ये signaling का काम कौन करेगा? It is going to be the nerve fibers belonging to the cochlear branch of the auditory nerve. So this auditory nerve is the part of cranial nerve 8, right? So cranial nerve 8, that is auditory nerve, उसके दो parts जाएंगे, that is the first cochlear branch, which is going to be belonging for the sensory, that is hearing part. Now all these hair cells, above all these hair cells, there is going to be a thin elastic membrane, and this thin elastic membrane is called as the tectorial membrane. This tectorial membrane is going to be very delicate, very flexible membrane, जो सारे tips जो hair tips है उसको cover करेगी. So here in the diagram you can very well see about the outer hair cells. You can see about the tectorial membrane, and you can also see the basilar membrane. So these are the nerve fibers as well, which are going to be the part of the cochlear branch of cranial nerve 8. The next is the vestibular apparatus. Now this vestibular apparatus is the second most important part after the cochlea. Cochlea hearing के लिए था, which was present in the inner ear. Vestibular apparatus is the second largest thing in the inner ear. This vestibular apparatus will be located above the cochlea. So cochlea का function क्या था? It was mainly regarding the hearing purpose. But once it comes to vestibular apparatus, it is mainly responsible for the balance of body. Right? So balancing के लिए how much आपको अगर आंखों पे पट्टी बांध दी गई and you are told to walk. So it might be on a straight road, or it might be on a rope which is tied out at a height, or anyhow your body can balance even if you don't see. But how does that happen? आपको तो दिख नहीं रहा है, whether you have to go left, you have to go right, but your ear can sense those things, and that is going to be the part of vestibular apparatus. So this vestibular apparatus is going to help you to maintain the body balance. So it might be a static balance, that is when the person is at rest, or it can be at dynamic balance when the person is moving or is in a moving vehicle. So जैसे आप rest पे हो, आप सीधे खड़े रह सकते हो. Why can you stand straight? Because your body is maintaining balance. But for example, if you are in a moving vehicle, say you are in a bus, and still you are inside maintaining your balance. आप बस के अंदर खड़े हो, bus is moving but you're standing still. That is also a kind of dynamic balance that you have to maintain and not to fall or trip down. So that is the part that the vestibular apparatus is going to function. अब ये important चीज में there are three things. So first of all, there are going to be three semicircular canals and there is a otolith organ. What are the things? Three semicircular canals, and these three semicircular canals are going to be at 90 degrees to each other. How are they going to be? These are going to be 90 degrees to each other. So for example, one is at x-axis, one is going to be at y, and the third one is going to be at the z-axis. So these are going to be in 3D format, these three semicircular canals. And inside the otolith organ, there is going to be a saccule and the utricle. So here are the next three things that we need to study in detail. That is the three semicircular canals, the saccule and the utricle. So here you can very well see how is the inner ear in all. So first we have the cochlea that we have studied. Then we saw the three semicircular canals, that is the anterior canal, lateral canal and the posterior canal. And after that is the otolith organ, that is the utricle and the saccule. So first part of the vestibular apparatus, that is semicircular canals, these are going to be three in number and these are semicircular, that is these are C-shaped fluid filled canals. इनमें air नहीं है, vacuum नहीं है, these are fluid filled. And each semicircular canal is going to lie in different plane. As I told you, these are going to be in three-dimensional, that is x, y and z axis is going to be persistent, that is having 90 degrees to each other or at right angles. So each base of the semicircular canal is going to be swollen or dilated. So here you can see very well in the diagrams, the base is going to be swollen or dilated. And this part that is swollen or dilated is called as ampulla. Ampulla is what region? The base that is swollen or dilated. And each ampulla is going to consist of a projecting ridge. This projecting ridge is called as crista ampullaris. This crista ampullaris is going to be acting as a sensory receptor to understand the change in position. For example, if your head when you are standing still, okay, so अगर आपकी movement ये side पे हो रही है, that is to your left or right, anyways the direction of head is moving. How is it going to tell to your brain that you are moving? That is because there is fluid inside this crista ampullaris, and because of that, once the fluid moves, there is going to be sensing of it. So apical ends of the hair cells which the crista ampullaris has, these are going to act like receptors. As I told you, because of these receptors, whenever there is going to be any change, that you move forward, you move backwards, you move left or right, anyways there is going to be the change in your posture or in your position, that is going to be sensed by these hair cells, and the basal ends of these hair cells will be in close contact to the nerve. So उनका apical end है connected to the receptor, lower end will be connected to the nerve fiber, and nerve fiber पर कौन सी होंगी? It is going to be the vestibular branch of auditory nerve. So here we had already seen a branch of auditory nerve, that is cranial nerve number 8. So this vestibular branch is also going to be coming from one side, that is vestibular branch. One side there will be the auditory branch, and both together combined will form the cranial nerve number 8. So that is what about the understanding about the semicircular canals. Next is the otolith organ, in which we have to study about the saccule and the utricle, which are going to be below the three semicircular canals. So saccule and utricle is going to be projecting a ridge. जैसे ridge था inside the ampulla, that was called as the ampullaris. Here there is going to be macula. So this macula is again going to act like a sensory receptor, and that will also sense the moving positions of the head, but it will be regarding the force of gravity. So left right is going to be adjusted by the previous semicircular canals, but the gravity, whether you are moving at a height, that is height is increasing or height is decreasing, that is going to be understood with the help of otolith's organ, that is macula. But once you are moving forward, backward, left, right, that is in 2D plane, till that the semicircular canals are going to take care. The macula is again as usual, there will be hair cells जिसके basal ends connected होंगे to the nerve fibers, and nerve fibers भी कौन से, it will be the vestibular part of the auditory nerve, and auditory nerve is cranial nerve number 8. We have already studied in detail about the different cranial nerves. You can go and check out the previous parts on this channel as well. So otolith organ is going to be acting to maintain the static balance of the body. Now this is a very important part, that is otolith organ जो है, it is for static balance but not for kinetic balance. So kinetic balance के लिए कौन आएगा, we will see in just few minutes. So here we can see that in the diagram that how the utricle and the saccule is going to be present, and in the lower one we can see the cross section wherein you can see the hair cells, the stereocilia and the otolith membrane as well. The next is to understand about the mechanism of hearing. ये सब हमने ear के structures देख लिए, the organs that are present into it, everything we saw. But how is exactly the cochlea going to transmit signals? So first of all, as the entire perspective to be understood, the ear, the external ear, that is the ear pinna, is going to collect all the sound waves, और ये सारे sound waves को वो collect करके उसको पहुंचाएगा towards the eardrum. Once it reaches the eardrum, what is the next step? Next step is going to strike these waves onto the tympanic membrane, यानी eardrum के ऊपर. जैसे eardrum है, drum के ऊपर कैसे वो hammer shape is always continuously hammering, like that the sound waves are going to strike onto this tympanic membrane, and with the alternate compressions and decompressions of air. For example, as you know, the sound waves are going to be transverse waves. So these are not longitudinal sinusoidal waves. वो ऐसे ऐसे travel नहीं करेंगे. Instead they will have compressions and relaxations. Compressions होंगे जहाँ पे air particles will be very much gathered together, that is a compression, but a rarefaction will be the portion जहाँ पे air particles are very much separate together. Again alternately there will be compression and rarefaction or relaxation phase. So like that the sound waves is going to travel. So these sound waves, once they are going to cross the membrane after vibrations, these vibrations are going to be transmitted to the ear ossicles. अब ear ossicles पे जब ये पहुंचेंगे, ear ossicles are the three bones. These three bones are going to amplify them. Once they amplify this particular sound waves, these are going to travel to the oval window. अब oval window क्या है? It is going to be the gateway. For what? It is the gateway to the inner ear. Now these vibrations have reached to the inner ear, जहाँ पे there is going to be entry to the perilymph of the scala vestibuli, because scala vestibuli was the upper chamber जिसका opening था to the oval window. Now once it has reached into the scala vestibuli, the vibrations are going to go into the endolymph. So endolymph of scala media. So this is very important to understand, that we had seen that there are three chambers. that is scala vestibuli. Then in the middle there was scala media, and the last was scala tympani. So scala vestibuli is going to have the perilymph. What is it going to have? It is going to have the perilymph, and even the scala tympani is going to have perilymph. Whereas in the middle there is going to be scala media that has endolymph. Now how to remember that particular thing? So very simple, you have to remember PEP. यानी स्कूटी पेप होती है, TVS स्कूटी पेप, that is nothing but the scala vestibuli has perilymph, scala media has endolymph, and the scala tympani has the perilymph again. And one more thing, just to remind, that scala vestibuli and scala tympani were connected with the hole, and that hole is going to be helpful to the movement of the perilymph in and out of it. So just remind, what was that hole's name? Can you remind it? So it was the helicotrema, which was connecting the scala vestibuli and the scala tympani. So coming back, once the vibrations have entered into the endolymph of scala media, these are going to create waves in those fluid, and these waves are going to hit onto the basilar membrane. Once it hits onto the basilar membrane, the basilar membrane has hair cells on it. So these hair cells are going to get pressed against the tectorial membrane, and from the tectorial membrane the nerve impulses are going to be generated. So these nerve impulses, once they are generated, उन्हें कहाँ जाना चाहिए? उनको कोई न्यूरॉन के पास जाना चाहिए. So they will reach to the afferent neurons. These afferent neurons will be having their connections to the auditory region of the brain. And how it will reach there? It will reach via auditory nerve, that is cranial nerve number 8. Again, to remember the numbers, emphasizing on it. And finally, once the impulse reaches to the brains, to its auditory region, they will get recognized. And that's how the entire hearing process happens in just few seconds. So ये हमने तो इतना time लगा लिया to understand each and everything. How does it happen? But all that things you were listening to me each and every time this particular process was going on in your ears and reaching those signals to the brain, interpreting and making you understand. So that was about hearing. Moving towards the last concept about this chapter, that is mechanism of maintaining body balance. Body balance maintain के लिए we have seen that there is inner ear that has the vestibular apparatus. But how exactly is it going to happen? So first, there are hair cells which are present in the macula and the crista. These hair cells are going to bend with the change in position. So where is macula, where is crista ampullaris? Just to remember here, the crista ampullaris will be the projected ridge inside the semicircular canals which have at the base, that is ampulla. So ampulla में ridge होगी, that is crista ampullaris, and macula is going to be the projecting ridge inside the utricle. Next is going to be the impulses which are generated because of the hair cell movements. These will reach to the nerve fibers, and from the nerve fibers these will be transmitted via vestibular branch to the auditory nerve, and the balancing is not sent to the cerebrum. This is the important thing to remember कि यहाँ पे cerebrum is not involved. Okay, this is cerebrum is a no-no, but here the work of cerebellum is going to be performed. So cerebellum is going to be responsible for your body balance and not the cerebrum. But cerebrum के पास क्या जाता है? Your hearing is going to go to the cerebrum. So once this body balance information is reaching to the cerebellum, the next is cerebellum to process it. Once the cerebellum processes, there will be sending of the motor neurons. Motor neurons सारे muscles के पास पहुंचेंगे to the respective muscles, and the muscles are going to have the function accordingly what the message is sent. For example, your movement is towards left, you are just bending down towards your left, so the opposite signals will be sent by the cerebellum to adjust the fluid. So your muscles will get a signal to contract towards your right so that you can maintain your balance. So you are tripping towards this side, the motor neurons are going to tell your body to move like this. So body is after the movement and this is body before. So ये तब तक होगा जब तक you are going to come at a stable position, that is you are stand still. So in that way, your body is going to maintain the balance with the help of the ear fluids inside it. So that was all about to understand the ear and the mechanism of hearing and balance. So I hope you understood this chapter in much detail, and if you liked it, then don't forget to show us with your likes, share and subscribe. Till the next chapter we come back, we will meet soon. Till then, bye bye everyone. Thank you.